Mammon, the devil of wealth and ways to communicate with him. Copyright 2024 NLP Radio. Introduction. At the heart of every culture and civilization, there lie hidden stories that reveal the unknown world. Stories about forces that seem to rule behind the veil of the material world. These stories often warn us, making us aware of the hidden dangers that could lead our lives to the brink of destruction, while simultaneously offering keys to unlock the gates of success and wealth. One such story is the tale of Mammon, a being known as the devil of wealth. He is said to observe our lives and await an opportunity to lead us towards great wealth, but at what cost? Are we ready to grasp his hands to attain wealth? And if we do, what will we lose in this transaction? This book is a journey into the depths of the darkest beliefs and legends, a journey that will introduce you to a mysterious and powerful entity feared by many, while others seek him with all their might. Mammon represents all the temptations hidden within humanity, temptations that can either lead us to the heights of success or drag us into the deepest pits of ruin. Are you ready to confront this force? Do you want to uncover his hidden secrets and harness his power to achieve success and wealth? This book is the key that will allow you to open the doors to this mysterious knowledge. But remember, every piece of knowledge comes at a price, and on this journey, you must be prepared to face truths that might change your worldview forever. Embark on this journey with caution, for Mammon, the devil of wealth, is always waiting to challenge you. But if you have the courage and seek the truth, this book can lead you to places where few dare to tread. This journey is one towards power, wealth, and perhaps something more. Chapter 1. An Introduction to the Concept of the Devil of Wealth. In the depths of time, where the boundary between reality and legend blurs, a being was born whose name is intertwined with greed, power, and wealth. This entity, hidden in the dark corners of history, is known as Mammon, a devil who has never been far from the minds of those craving wealth and power. Mammon is a symbol rooted in every human being, a being who, with a quiet and mysterious voice, draws people towards himself, offering promises that are hard to resist. The concept of Mammon has deep historical roots, but who truly created him? This question is ever present in the mind of any researcher seeking the truth. Some refer to him as a devil mentioned in sacred texts and religious narratives. In these texts, he is portrayed as a manifestation of the devil, leading people astray with his seductive power. Mammon is seen not only as a physical entity but also as a symbol of human temptations and desires, a force that resides in the heart of every person and draws them towards endless wants. In some cultures, Mammon is the embodiment of limitless money and wealth. He is the god of wealth and materialism, a being who enslaves people and distances them from spiritual life. Those who fall into Mammon's trap gradually feel that their need for wealth and power has consumed their entire lives, reducing them to mere tools for acquiring money and status. These individuals often fail to realize that they are dealing with a force that will ultimately lead them towards destruction. However, the concept of Mammon is not limited to ancient myths and religious texts. In the modern world, Mammon still persists. He lurks behind every high-risk transaction and every economic decision made at the expense of ignoring ethics and human values. Mammon symbolically appears wherever money and power take precedence, and people sacrifice their moral values to achieve these goals. He may not be depicted as a physical entity, but his influence on our daily lives is palpable. Whenever greed and endless desires overpower us and push us towards decisions that conflict with our inner values, Mammon is at play with our destiny. Mammon, though known as a devil that drives people towards greed and power, is merely one face of the dark world of human temptations. In reality, he is part of our being, a part that awakens whenever we feel the need for more than what we have. Mammon is not only an external enemy but also an internal force that battles with us. He is a symbol of all that can lead a person away from the right path and into the abyss of destruction. Understanding Mammon and grasping his role in our lives can be the first step in combating this internal force. But this understanding does not come easily. Mammon, with the cunning and precision that only a devil can possess, hides from our view, revealing himself only when it may be too late. This chapter of the book attempts to introduce you to this dark force, a force present behind every temptation, every greed, and every illogical decision that might cross your mind. Mammon, the devil of wealth, is always lurking, ready to get closer whenever you seek more wealth and power. But can we overcome him? Can we stand against his temptations? This book will continue to show you how you can resist this dark force and how better self-awareness can prevent you from becoming a victim in Mammon's game. This journey is one through darkness and light, a journey that will reveal hidden truths about the world of wealth and power and help you find your way amidst all these temptations and deceptions. Chapter 2: The Historical and Cultural Roots of Mammon. To gain a deeper understanding of Mammon and his impact on human life, we must return to the past, to a time when humans first encountered this mysterious and destructive force. Mammon, as the devil of wealth, is not just a legendary character. He has appeared in various ways throughout history in different cultures and religions, always associated with endless temptations for power and wealth. In Christian sacred texts, the name Mammon is frequently mentioned as a symbol of greed and materialism. He is described as one of the lords of darkness who entices people to worship money and possessions. The Bible states, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and Mammon." This famous phrase clearly shows how Mammon can influence human lives and divert them from the right path. But Mammon is not confined to Christianity alone. In Islamic culture, Mammon is also recognized as a symbol of greed and avarice. He is described in Islamic legends as a devil who leads people towards fleeting worldly wealth and distracts them from God and spiritual life. This concept appears in many Islamic narratives, where individuals, in pursuit of wealth and power, sell their souls to Mammon and ultimately face disaster and regret. Signs of Mammon's presence can also be found in other ancient cultures. In ancient Greece, gods such as Plutus, god of wealth, and Hades, god of the underworld, were associated with the concept of Mammon and its effects on humanity. Plutus, although known as the god of wealth, was often criticized for his association with worldly temptations and greed. Hades, as the god of the underworld, was seen as a symbol of transient and perishable wealth that ultimately leads to death and destruction. This concept of Mammon has evolved over history and manifested in various ways in different cultures. However, the common thread across all these cultures is that Mammon is always recognized as a negative and destructive force, a force that leads people astray and pushes them towards endless greed and avarice. Mammon has always been accompanied by warnings in every culture and religion where he is mentioned. He is seen as a serious threat to the spiritual and mental well-being of humans, a threat that can divert them from spirituality and ethics and ultimately lead to complete destruction. In the modern era, although Mammon is less known as a legendary character, his impact on human lives remains. Today, Mammon has adapted to new conditions and taken on a modern form in our lives. He no longer appears as a mythical being but as a real and tangible force. Mammon is present in every economic decision, every business agreement, and every major policy driven by greed and avarice. Chapter 3: Mammon in the Modern Era, the New Face of the Devil of Wealth. While ancient legends and stories about Mammon are attributed to distant pasts, it may be hard to believe that he continues to thrive in the modern era. Yet, the truth is that Mammon is more active today than ever. He has simply changed his face and adopted a new, modern form. Now, he not only exists in ancient tales but also in our daily lives. Wherever money, power, and greed take precedence, Mammon is present. In today's world, Mammon stands behind the scenes of the global economy, financial markets, and the major policies of countries. He no longer appears as a devil with a frightening visage. Rather, he hides himself in figures, statistics, and financial reports. He is the force driving people towards economic decisions aimed solely at achieving greater profits, even if it means sacrificing moral and human values. Mammon has also well established himself in the world of trade and business. He is present in every agreement focused solely on profitability and capital increase. In the modern world, Mammon has become a symbol of multinational corporations and economic giants that, without regard for social and environmental effects, are solely focused on increasing their wealth. These companies, using their power and influence, destroy natural resources, exploit workers, and devastate local communities, all in the name of profitability and economic growth. Meanwhile, Mammon smiles. He has achieved his goal, increasing greed and avarice in the hearts of humans. But Mammon does not only appear in the realm of economics and business, he is present in our daily lives as well. Whenever we make decisions driven by greed and desire, whenever we sacrifice moral and human values for personal gain, Mammon is guiding us. He is with us in every situation where we are tempted to achieve our goals through deceit, lies, and fraud. Mammon is behind every transaction that disregards ethical principles, behind every decision solely seeking personal gain, and in every action that tramples on justice and fairness. One of the most apparent manifestations of Mammon in the modern era is seen in financial markets and stock exchanges. Here, money and profitability have become the sole goals, and humans are drawn into an endless competition for greater wealth. Mammon easily directs people towards endless greed and avarice in these markets, where everything is defined in terms of profit and loss. In such conditions, people easily forget their moral values and are solely focused on achieving greater profits, even if it comes at the cost of lives, environmental destruction, and the devastation of local communities. Mammon is also actively present behind the scenes of major national policies. He tempts politicians to make decisions that, instead of serving the people, only benefit short-term economic interests and increase their own power. These policies are often implemented to the detriment of the majority of people and to the benefit of a few wealthy and powerful individuals. In this, Mammon knows well how to entrap politicians in the snare of greed and lead them astray from the right path. In the modern era, Mammon has adeptly adapted to new conditions and has appeared in a new form in our lives. He is no longer recognized as a mythical creature but as a real and tangible force in our daily existence. Mammon is actively present in every economic decision, every business agreement, and every major policy based on greed and avarice. He is the force leading people towards wrong decisions and steering them away from the right path. But can we escape Mammon's snare in today's world? Can we achieve success and wealth without succumbing to his temptations? These questions remain unanswered, but in the following chapters of this book, we will explore ways to free ourselves from Mammon's snare and help us find the right path in this world full of temptations. Mammon is still lurking, but with better awareness and understanding of him, we can avoid falling into his trap and create a life full of meaning and true values. Chapter 4: Ways to Connect with Mammon, Hidden Bridges to Wealth. Throughout history, humans have always sought ways to connect with supernatural forces. Mammon, as the devil of wealth, is no exception. While he is known as a symbol of greed and avarice, many have attempted to connect with him to harness his power for wealth and success. However, these methods have always been fraught with dangers and serious consequences, as connecting with Mammon means entering a dark and hidden world with potentially unimaginable outcomes. One of the main ways to connect with Mammon involves magical ceremonies and ancient rites. These ceremonies, often conducted secretly and away from the eyes of others, include a mix of incantations, sacrifices, and the use of specific symbols aimed at attracting Mammon's attention and establishing contact with him. Many of these ceremonies originate from ancient cultures and magical rites passed down through oral and written traditions over centuries. One such rite is the summoning of Mammon's spirit. In this rite, the practitioner uses special symbols such as gold coins, specific perfumes, and black candles to attempt to summon Mammon into the material world and seek his aid in acquiring wealth. These rites are often performed at midnight and in a dark, secluded place, as it is believed that Mammon appears only under specific conditions and when light and darkness are in balance. Those performing these rites often offer sacrifices such as small animals, or even their own blood to attract Mammon's attention. It is believed that these sacrifices demonstrate the practitioner's willingness to obtain wealth and power, and how much they are prepared to sacrifice for this goal. However, magical rites are not the only ways to connect with Mammon. In many cultures and religions, specific prayers and incantations exist that can be used to communicate with Mammon. These prayers, often written in ancient languages and using specific words and phrases, are recited to ask Mammon for help in achieving wealth and success. In some of these prayers, the reciter promises Mammon that, in exchange for his assistance, they will dedicate a significant portion of their wealth to certain altars or even serve Mammon as his servant. These prayers are often viewed as double-edged swords, as they may help the individual achieve wealth but can ultimately lead to Mammon's control over their spirit and life. Other methods of connecting with Mammon are more psychological and mental in nature. These methods, often discussed in dark and deceptive psychological schools, include techniques such as intense focus on material goals, visualizing wealth and success, and using mental powers to attract wealth. These techniques help individuals subconsciously connect with Mammon and use his power to achieve their material goals. However, these methods are also not without risk. Excessive focus on material goals and neglect of moral and human values can trap the individual in a snare that ultimately leads to the destruction of their spirit and psyche. In the modern era, technology has also become one of the tools for connecting with Mammon. The use of the internet and social media for achieving wealth and success has, in a way, become a symbol of connecting with Mammon in the digital age. Here, Mammon hides behind algorithms and data, directing humans towards greater income and material success. But just as traditional methods of connecting with Mammon came with significant risks, modern methods also carry these dangers. Individuals who are overly focused on digital success may gradually distance themselves from the true values of life and fall into a trap that ultimately leads to losing everything. Connecting with Mammon, in any form, has always been associated with serious risks and challenges. This connection not only can lead to achieving wealth and power, but may also bring Mammon's control over one's spirit and psyche. Those seeking to connect with Mammon must be aware that this path is one of darkness and complexity, which only a few have managed to navigate without harm. In the following chapters of this book, we will examine these methods and their consequences in greater detail and strive to show whether it is truly worth risking one's spirit and psyche for the sake of achieving wealth. Chapter 5. The Consequences and Implications of Associating with Mammon, the Price to Pay. Every path a person chooses comes with a price. This statement may seem simple, but when it comes to dealing with supernatural beings and dark forces, this price can be much heavier than we imagine. Mammon, as the demon of wealth, might initially offer alluring and deceptive promises. However, countless stories of those who have sought these promises show that although they may initially attain wealth and power, they face dire consequences. One of the most significant consequences of associating with Mammon is his gradual dominance over a person's life and psyche. In various rites and ancient tales, it is always noted that Mammon, like any dark force, demands something in return for his help. These demands may seem simple at first, but over time, the individual becomes trapped by Mammon, losing their power of decision and free will. They gradually become enslaved by this demon, and the more they pursue wealth and power, the further they distance themselves from their freedom and autonomy. Another implication of associating with Mammon is the loss of moral and human values. When an individual focuses all their energy and attention on acquiring wealth, they gradually drift away from the principles and values that shape their life. They might engage in actions that are in conflict with their conscience and ethics in pursuit of material goals. This deviation from moral paths not only harms them but can also completely destroy their relationships with others. Many who have sought to connect with Mammon gradually become ensnared by negative emotions such as greed, envy, and hatred. These emotions, which are reinforced through interaction with Mammon, eventually captivate the individual's spirit and soul, turning them into a callous and ruthless person. While these individuals might appear successful and wealthy on the outside, they face an inner emptiness and darkness that no amount of wealth can fill. This void, resulting from the loss of values and humanity, eventually leads to the individual's complete destruction. In addition to the spiritual and psychological consequences, associating with Mammon can also have physical and bodily repercussions. Various tales mention that those who seek supernatural powers and connect with dark forces may fall ill with strange and unexplained physical ailments. These illnesses, which sometimes arise without any clear medical cause, are seen as symbols of Mammon's control over the individual's body and soul. Those who suffer from these illnesses often continue to live in pain and suffering, never achieving true peace and health. Association with Mammon can also lead to social isolation. An individual who focuses all their efforts on achieving wealth and power through supernatural forces may gradually distance themselves from others. They might isolate themselves due to fear of their secrets being exposed, leading to a solitary life. This isolation, resulting from their choices, ultimately leads to depression and the loss of all human connections. Those who reach this stage gradually become soulless and aimless individuals who have dedicated their entire lives to serving dark forces. However, perhaps the most significant and tragic consequence of associating with Mammon is the loss of the soul. In many stories and traditions, it is said that individuals who make deals with Mammon end up selling their souls to him. This sale of the soul means losing everything that makes a person human. Someone who sells their soul to Mammon gradually loses all their values, emotions, and humanity, becoming a soulless tool in the service of dark forces. These individuals, although they may achieve wealth and power on the surface, ultimately become soulless and emotionless beings who have devoted their entire lives to Mammon. While associating with Mammon may initially seem enticing and alluring, it carries severe and often irreversible consequences. Those who seek to engage with these dark forces should be aware that this path ultimately leads to darkness and destruction. At the end of this chapter, we must recognize that while wealth and power may seem important goals in life, they should never be pursued at the cost of our soul and humanity. True life is connected with human and ethical values, not with acquiring wealth through dark forces. Chapter 6. Is it possible to return from the dark path? How to escape Mammon's grasp. Dark paths have always been tempting. Forces like Mammon lure people with promises of wealth, power, and success. But in the end, a bitter truth awaits them that often leads to the destruction of their spirit and psyche. Many who have ventured down this path gradually realize that the price of associating with Mammon is far greater than they anticipated. But an important question arises in many minds. Is there a way to return? Can one escape Mammon's grasp and return to normal life? The answer to this question depends on individual perspectives, but the truth is that returning from the dark path and separating from demonic forces like Mammon is possible, though this path is not easy and requires strong will and a determined decision to sever the connection. The first step in this process is admitting one's mistake. A person must fully acknowledge that the path they have chosen is wrong and clearly understand its consequences. This acceptance can be very challenging, as many people at the beginning of the path believe they can benefit from this association without any repercussions. But when the reality becomes clear, accepting it and admitting the mistake is the first and most crucial step toward recovery. After accepting the mistake, the next step is psychological and spiritual cleansing. Individuals who have been involved with dark forces like Mammon often face negative emotions such as fear, guilt, and remorse. These emotions gradually affect their psyche and hinder their return to normal life. To cleanse these feelings, it is often necessary for the person to seek methods such as meditation, self-awareness, and psychological counseling. These methods help them rid themselves of negative emotions and restore peace to their lives. One of the most important stages in returning from the dark path is completely severing ties with Mammon and any rituals or ceremonies that might reinforce his influence in one's life. This stage requires strong will and a final decision. The individual must eliminate all symbols, objects, and practices that may strengthen their connection with Mammon and cleanse themselves of any dark influences. This severance may come with difficulties, as dark forces often attempt to reattract the person. But resisting these temptations is key to success in this phase. Returning from the dark path also requires support from others. The individual should seek help from friends, family, or specialized counselors to avoid being alone in this journey. Social and psychological support can play a crucial role in returning to normal life. Those who have successfully returned from this path often emphasize that without the support of loved ones and counselors, the journey would have been much harder. Therefore, finding a support group can help the individual successfully escape this dark path. Spiritually and morally, returning from association with Mammon requires restoring faith and belief in positive and benevolent powers. Many who turn to dark forces initially do so due to a lack of faith in goodness and justice. However, returning to the right path requires restoring this faith. Belief in benevolent and positive powers can help the person regain hope in life and understand that even in the darkest moments, there is light of hope. Ultimately, it is crucial to recognize that life is full of choices, and each choice we make impacts our lives. Associating with Mammon, while it may offer a path to wealth and power, comes with a price that is often far heavier than we imagine. Returning from this path may be difficult, but it is always possible. It is never too late to choose the right path and return to a life where human and ethical values take precedence over everything. Chapter 7: Ways to Communicate with Mammon. Communication with Mammon, as the demon of wealth, has been a topic explored in various cultures and throughout history in diverse ways. This chapter examines the different methods and techniques used to establish communication with Mammon. It covers traditional and historical methods, modern techniques, symbolic tools, real-life experiences, and reports. It also addresses potential risks and dangers associated with these practices. Introduction to methods of communicating with Mammon. Connecting with supernatural entities and dark forces has always been a fascinating and complex subject. Among these, communicating with Mammon, the demon of wealth, stands out due to his tempting promises of riches and power. Various methods exist for establishing this connection, each with its unique features and complexities. This chapter explores these methods and techniques, providing readers with detailed and comprehensive information on how to communicate with Mammon. Examination of traditional and historical methods. Historically, different societies have employed numerous methods to communicate with supernatural forces. Many cultures have specific rituals and ceremonies designed to summon and interact with dark entities, including Mammon. These methods often involve rituals and ceremonies passed down through generations. One traditional method involves the use of charms and magic. In this approach, individuals use symbols and tools traditionally associated with dark forces. These tools typically include spellbooks, specific symbols, and materials intended for establishing contact with Mammon. Such methods, prevalent across many cultures and traditions, generally aim to create a spiritual and energetic connection with Mammon. Modern techniques for communication. In the modern world, new techniques have been developed for communicating with Mammon and other supernatural forces. These techniques include advanced technologies and psychological methods aimed at achieving traditional goals with more contemporary tools. One modern technique involves specific meditations and psychological exercises. These methods help individuals reach a level of awareness that facilitates communication with Mammon through concentration and mental calm. Techniques often include breathing exercises, specific visualizations, and the use of particular music or sounds to create a spiritual environment. Symbols and tools used. For establishing communication with Mammon, specific symbols and tools traditionally associated with dark forces are often employed. These symbols and tools, which vary across cultures and rituals, are generally considered essential for connecting with Mammon. One such tool is the magic circle, used to create a protective and spiritual space. These circles are typically designed with specific symbols and patterns related to Mammon. Other tools include special candles and incense used to attract energy and facilitate spiritual connection. Risks and potential dangers. Communicating with Mammon and dark forces naturally involves various risks and dangers. These risks, which can manifest physically, psychologically, and spiritually, generally arise from the negative effects these forces have on individuals and their lives. A primary risk is the psychological impact that can result from establishing communication with Mammon. Individuals may experience anxiety, fear, and psychological disorders that could lead to more severe problems over time. Additionally, individuals may be affected by negative emotions such as greed and envy, damaging their relationships with others. Real-life experiences and reports. Throughout history, many individuals have reported real-life experiences and accounts of communicating with Mammon and dark forces. These experiences, which often involve significant changes in an individual's life and personality, are generally regarded as warnings about the dangers and consequences of such communication. Many reports describe individuals experiencing major life changes after contacting Mammon. These changes often include loss of social relationships, financial difficulties, and psychological disturbances. Some individuals have reported becoming emotionally numb and detached from life's pleasures after such contact. Alternative methods and coping. For those seeking ways to counteract the negative effects of communication with Mammon, various methods are available. These methods, which generally include psychological and spiritual techniques, help individuals mitigate the negative impacts of such contact and return to a balanced and natural state. One approach involves using meditation and relaxation techniques to cleanse the mind and spirit from negative effects. Consulting with psychologists and spiritual counselors can also aid individuals in dealing with the negative impacts of communication with Mammon and returning to a healthy and balanced life. Ultimately, it is crucial for individuals to carefully consider the risks and consequences before deciding to engage with dark forces and Mammon. Real life should be rooted in human and ethical values, not in seeking connections with dark entities. Chapter 8: Protection and Awareness. Given the complexities and risks associated with communication with Mammon, protecting oneself and being aware of the negative effects of such contact is critically important. This chapter explores methods to prevent the negative impacts of beliefs related to Mammon, the importance of education and public awareness, and resources and tools for further study and research. The goal is to provide practical solutions for maintaining mental and spiritual health and offering essential information to address potential issues and risks. Methods to prevent negative impacts of beliefs related to Mammon. To prevent the negative effects of beliefs related to Mammon and dark forces, individuals need to employ various methods that help maintain mental and spiritual health. These methods include psychological, spiritual, and practical techniques that can assist individuals in dealing with negative impacts. One primary method involves mindfulness and meditation techniques. These practices help individuals avoid the negative effects of false beliefs and dark forces by focusing on mental calm and balance. Creating a positive and supportive environment in life, including healthy relationships and spiritual spaces, can also help reduce negative impacts. Another approach is educating and raising awareness about the dangers and consequences of communicating with Mammon and dark forces. Increasing public awareness and providing accurate and scientific information can help prevent problems and risks. This information should be regularly and publicly disseminated so individuals are aware of potential dangers and avoid making poor decisions. Education and public awareness. Education and public awareness are key aspects of preventing the negative effects of communication with Mammon. Various methods can be used to enhance public awareness and provide accurate and scientific information. One method is conducting workshops and seminars where detailed information about Mammon and associated risks is presented. These workshops can include lectures, group discussions, and educational activities that contribute to increased public awareness and knowledge. Another method is publishing scientific and authoritative articles and books about Mammon and dark forces. These resources should be regularly published and widely accessible to the public so individuals can acquire accurate and comprehensive information on these topics. Resources and tools for further study and research. For those interested in studying and researching more about Mammon and dark forces, various resources and tools are available to help acquire accurate and scientific information. These resources include books, scientific articles, and specialized training courses that examine different aspects of these topics. A primary resource is scientific and research-oriented books that explore the history, culture, and various aspects of communication with Mammon and dark forces. These books often include detailed analyses, case studies, and scientific reviews that can contribute to a better and more comprehensive understanding of these subjects. In addition to books, scientific and research articles are valuable sources that examine specific and scientific aspects of communication with Mammon and dark forces. These articles are usually published in scientific and specialized journals and can serve as reliable sources for further research and study. Specialized training courses and workshops are also useful resources that can enhance individual knowledge and skills in the field of communication with Mammon and dark forces. These courses generally include practical training, scientific discussions, and educational activities that aid in a deeper and more comprehensive understanding of these topics. Ultimately, to prevent the negative effects of communication with Mammon and dark forces, individuals should use reliable resources and educational tools to increase their knowledge and awareness and employ correct and scientific methods to address potential risks. A healthy and successful life requires awareness and knowledge, and one should always strive to maintain balance in mental and spiritual health. Chapter 9: Overcoming Temptations: How to Stay Away from Mammon and His Traps. When facing Mammon and dark forces, alluring temptations and traps specifically designed by him can pose serious risks. This chapter explores ways to combat these temptations and avoid falling into Mammon's traps. From identifying and understanding temptations to using practical techniques to stay away from them, the goal of this chapter is to provide tools and strategies to help individuals remain unaffected by the negative impacts of Mammon and his specifically crafted traps. Identifying temptations and Mammon's traps. The first step in overcoming temptations and Mammon's traps is to identify and understand them. Temptations often appear attractive and deceptive, offering promises of wealth, power, or success. These temptations are specifically designed to ensnare individuals and divert them from their core goals and values. One of the most common temptations is the promise of quick and easy wealth and success. Mammon might attract individuals with offers such as highly profitable investments, extraordinary job opportunities, or rapid changes in financial status. While these promises may seem temporarily appealing, they can ultimately lead to serious problems and financial losses. Practical techniques for avoiding temptations. To prevent falling into Mammon's traps and avoiding temptations, employing practical techniques and effective strategies is essential. These techniques can help individuals resist tempting offers and make logical and informed decisions. One effective technique is setting clear and documented goals. Having specific and realistic goals helps individuals stay away from tempting promises and focus on their main path. These goals should include financial, professional, and personal plans that are logically and carefully organized. Another technique is thoroughly and logically evaluating opportunities and offers. Before accepting any offer or opportunity, individuals should conduct comprehensive research and ensure that it aligns with their goals and values. Consulting with experts and experienced individuals can also help in making better decisions and avoiding Mammon's traps. Maintaining mental and spiritual balance. An important aspect of dealing with temptations and Mammon's traps is maintaining mental and spiritual balance. Individuals should strive to handle pressures and temptations with calm and balance, preventing their negative impacts on their lives. Meditation and relaxation techniques can help individuals clear their minds and spirits from the negative effects of temptations and maintain focus on their core goals and values. Additionally, establishing and maintaining supportive and positive relationships can help individuals resist pressures and temptations more effectively and address challenges more efficiently. In dealing with temptations and Mammon's traps, having support and counseling from reputable and specialized individuals can assist individuals in handling these challenges more effectively. Consulting with psychologists, financial advisors, and spiritual experts can help individuals make better decisions and avoid the negative effects of mammon and dark forces. Social support is also of significant importance. Having a network of friends and family who can assist in times of crisis can help reduce the negative impacts of temptations and mammon's traps. These support networks can aid in maintaining mental and spiritual balance and positively influence overall quality of life. Education and prevention. Finally, education and prevention of the negative impacts of temptations and mammon's traps are crucial. By increasing public awareness and providing accurate and scientific information, it is possible to help prevent problems and risks. This information should be regularly and publicly disseminated to ensure that individuals are aware of potential dangers and avoid making incorrect decisions. In conclusion, to combat mammon's temptations and traps, individuals need to use practical techniques, maintain mental and spiritual balance, and seek support and counseling from reputable sources to avoid negative impacts and lead a healthy and successful life. Chapter 10 Conclusion. In this chapter, we will summarize the contents of the book and provide a final analysis. We will also discuss the importance of ethics and human values in the face of wealth and power, and refer to sources for further reading. The goal of this chapter is to provide a comprehensive overview of the book's contents and emphasize the importance of maintaining ethical and human principles when dealing with power and wealth. Summary and final analysis. In this book, we explored the complex and intriguing subject of mammon and dark forces. From examining the history and roots of this concept to analyzing ways to interact with mammon and methods for dealing with his temptations, the primary goal was to provide a comprehensive and practical perspective on this topic. The contents included deep analyses, practical techniques, and real-life experiences that can help individuals better understand and effectively handle challenges related to mammon. Mammon, as a symbol of temptation and dark powers, always appears alluring and deceptive in human lives. However, with a proper understanding of these forces and the use of effective techniques to deal with them, one can effectively avoid their negative impacts and achieve a healthy and successful life. Reflections on the importance of ethics and human values in the face of wealth and power. When facing power and wealth, maintaining ethical principles and human values is of paramount importance. Mammon and dark forces may offer attractive and deceptive promises regarding wealth and success, but these promises can come at serious cost to ethical and human principles. The importance of ethics and human values in the face of the temptations of power and wealth should be recognized. In life choices, individuals should always adhere to ethical principles and avoid deceptive and incorrect decisions. These principles include honesty, fairness, respect for others, and maintaining mental and spiritual well-being, which directly affect the quality of life and personal success. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this book. I hope this information has been helpful.